to be the change you want to see in the world, to be, a better version of yourself, there we need willpower.
Yeah.
The world gives you the tools, but once you know yourself truly within,
Yeah.
the tools start to work for themselves.
Because the more that you'll be able to study yourself and the more that you're able to look what you're doing, you can see if it's a good habit or a bad habit,
Yeah.
or less a good habit. Nothing is good and bad, but some things will help you and some things will not make you progress as you wish.
What I guess I'm trying to sort of think is, religion is one thing, spirituality is another.
Yeah.
Know the difference.
Yeah.
And that's where you've got to really expand yourself.
Without the spiritual guidance, life will be okay, but with it, it will be beautiful.
Hello, and welcome to the Modern Day Spirituality Podcast by Manav Dharam, a podcast dedicated to those in search of spiritual awareness and insights. We'll be talking to many people from different corners of the world, sharing their thoughts on their spiritual journeys. Today, we're delving into the topic of willpower, and we've got two great guests with us here from Manav Dharam, Vinay and Cascade. Welcome both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
My name's Kavi, and I'll be hosting today. So, welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us on this grey Sunday here in the UK. How are we both doing? All well?
Really well. Thank you.
I'm good too, thank
Good,
you. And
awesome.
what about you, Kavi?
I'm okay.
Everything's
Not
good?
too bad. Bar the
Okay.
coldness we've had in the UK so far, it's been
What
okay.
can we
So
do?
yeah,
What can we do?
we'll get there slowly but surely, right? But thank you for joining us today. It's going to be great to talk about this topic. We like to start off by yourselves just giving a bit of introduction into yourselves. So I don't know, Cascade, ladies first. Do you mind
Sure.
giving us a bit of a...
Okay, I'll go ahead. So my name is Cascade Grunenwald. I'm 25 years old. I work in a nursery with children, and it's quite hard to give an introduction of yourself. But I would say my hobbies in life is meditation, swimming. I like to read.
Okay,
I like to
awesome.
read. And yes, so that's me.
Great. So we
Yes.
need to get the swimming techniques from you.
Yeah.
I do.
Good stuff. Awesome. Thanks for coming along, Cascade. Vinay, over to you.
Hi, I'm Vinay Palmer from the UK, IT professional, also an NLP master, and also Reiki master as well.
Oh, very nice. Reiki.
Yes, and also enjoy flying and lots of things that I do as a hobby.
Awesome.
But
You're
yes.
flying yourself, or
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
I do. Yeah.
so a cheap hobby then?
Oh God, yes. My wife would have wished otherwise, but sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do.
Great stuff. And did we get here all okay today?
Yes,
no
we did.
issues?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Did you fly over Cascade?
Yes, yesterday morning. So the
Awesome.
flight was a bit
Oh wow.
a bit
yes.
hectic with all
With
the
the weather
wind
that's
and
going on.
everything, but we managed. I'm here, so everything is good.
Good stuff.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yes.
So we're talking all things willpower today. So thank you again for joining us. We generally like to start off with a definition. However, we're going to switch the script today and ask yourselves. So Cascade, what's your definition of willpower?
So my definition of willpower would be the more that you love yourself and the more that you have discipline in your life, the more you'll be able to have willpower.
Okay.
Because sometimes whenever, your routine starts, whenever, at the beginning that you start to have a hobby or when you start to have something that you like to do in your life, even if it's something that we need to be able to progress properly,
Sure.
first discipline will come in,
Okay.
the will to be able to progress will be there. But then after, sometimes, when life goes on, days goes on, your discipline will be a bit more, tired, like less motivated.
Sure.
And this is where willpower comes in.
Okay.
Because the more that you have, discipline, willpower will come. And when you have less discipline, willpower will step in. So I really say the more that you love yourself, the more you have discipline in your life, willpower will automatically come with it.
So you're saying they go in tandem almost?
Yeah, they're like brothers and sisters, like twins.
Yes.
They're like twins.
Twins that fight or twins that go well together?
It depends. It
It
depends.
doesn't it, on the person?
Yes.
Okay, very
Yes.
nice. I mean, Vinay, on your side, what's your definition of willpower?
In my mind, I think willpower is. A lot of people think of willpower as I've got to do without. I've got to
Sure.
do without this. I don't want to do this, and straight away you're going into a sort of a negative mode. But within my mind, willpower is no. It's right the opposite. It's having, like Cascade says, the discipline and the focus to actually do something small and expand on it.
Okay.
And it's almost like muscle. The more you exercise it, the more it'll strengthen up.
Yeah.
like everyone else. We have good days, bad days. We
Yeah.
have willpower one day, which, usually which is strongest in the mornings
Yeah.
due to various other reasons, with sleep and everything else. And as the day goes along, life's challenges come in the way,
Yeah, definitely.
and you've got to go through that. But if you're focused enough and disciplined enough, like Cascade says, I
Mhm.
think, then that keeps the motivation and that keeps the will to do the right thing
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And that way you're starting to then focus in what you're trying to achieve,
Mhm.
essentially. So that is my definition of
Okay.
willpower.
So it's almost like you're saying you've got that goal you want to get to, in a
Yes.
sense, but
Yes.
you're sort of defining it that way by making sure if you've got that willpower, you've
Yeah.
got the ability to
Even-
make it there.
Even day to day, for example,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be a goal that because every goal and every aspirational thing that you're trying to strive for,
Mhm.
you're not going to remember it 24/7.
Yeah.
But during the day, you'll have, like, I've got two beautiful kids, and they may be having a great day or not so much of a great day, and you're tired yourself at the end of the day. But it's just that willingness to be disciplined and carry on,
Mhm.
and that builds you up again.
Okay. And Cascade, do you think that's what Vinay's saying there? Do you think it's easy to have that discipline?
No, it's not easy. If it would be easy, the world would be much better in a much peaceful way.
Sure.
But again, the more
Yeah.
that you love yourself, the more you're able to love your brother, the more you're able to love your sister, the more you're able to love your family, your colleagues, and
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
So the most important I really feel in willpower is love.
Mhm.
Because the more love and compassion that you will have towards yourself, automatically you can have it towards everybody else.
Yeah. So it's almost that like osmosis almost. If you're bringing that sort of love and attention to yourself, it almost breeds within
Definitely.
the family or whatever
Definitely.
environment
Yes.
you're
It
in.
goes automatically.
Yeah,
You
great.
know, it goes
I mean,
automatically.
I'm really glad Cascade expanded on that, because the whole side of things for love is also to do with the energy,
Mhm.
and therefore with the energy flow, a lot of us we've been brought up in this modern day world where we are bombarded with so much information.
Yeah.
On the phone, on the TV, everywhere you look. If you go on a train, everyone is on their phone.
Yeah.
You hardly see someone just looking outside the window. And therefore, because we've got so much of an information overload, we start to believe what we see is true, what we hear is true. And we become so over-reliant on our senses that we forget, actually, hang on, there's something more than
Yeah.
this. And going back to the love part that
Yeah.
Cascade talked about, is if you're loving yourself within you and you're generating that, everyone around you will actually feel that.
Yep.
And that's energy just traveling around the room.
Yeah, definitely.
Like we're sat here
Mm.
and we're doing this podcast, and the more, whatever energy I'm feeling or you're feeling, Kavi or Cascade, that is flowing through
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
and therefore it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
So
So it's almost like there's an element of how can we control that as well, isn't there? Because it's a case of if you're in that negative mind space, or
yes.
does that also then flow, and then how do we sort of adjust that? Which
Absolutely.
is, I'm sure we'll come on to later on, but that's something that we definitely want to think about. I know you guys have covered a lot there already, but the definition that we had written down here was the ability to control your thoughts and actions in order to achieve what you want to do. Now, coming back to the goal piece there, what you spoke about, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Cascade. Do you think that I mean, there isn't always one definition, is there? So there's multiple ways of looking at it. But do you think that gives a bit more of that overarching effect? Do you think that resonates with you or not really?
It definitely does, but in the same way, everybody will have a different kind of experience towards, in this case, willpower. But at the end of the day, the experience of having willpower is the same. So the thing is, like, this is my definition, because this is where I'm standing to like today towards this word that we talk about. And I would like to come back to something that Vinay just said, is like, everybody's sitting on their phone and everybody's watching what we're doing and everything. And that's really true, because to go on, to take your phone out, to go on Instagram, to go on TikTok or Snapchat or God knows what, we don't need any willpower. It's
So
really
easy.
easy,
Yeah.
Even just to like drive back home and just put a podcast on and anything like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't ask for a lot, but to be the change you want to see in the world, to be, a better version of yourself, there we need willpower.
Yeah.
And the more, love that you have, again, I'm talking about love, I'm sorry,
No,
but,
it's fine.
the more love that you have towards yourself will make you grow.
Yeah.
And this is where spirituality comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more you're able to be, a better person, the more you'll have a thirst to be able to understand who you are.
Great.
And the only way you're able to really understand who you are is by, having a spiritual knowledge in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have all these worldly knowledge, I like to read. Vinay likes to fly planes and everything. It's very big hobbies. It's beautiful. But this is physical knowledge.
Yeah.
But we need spiritual knowledge to be able to progress properly and to understand what a willpower really is.
I wanted to pick up on where you both spoke about obviously social media and the impacts of that as well, because we're saying that you don't need willpower to do that. It's almost second nature. How does someone almost take that concept and place it into that willpower state? Like, is that physically possible, do we think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think, again, going back to how we've been brought up, and I think the patterns of life that we're following, I think that plays a big part on it. Now, just as it's easy to pick up a phone, if with enough discipline and exercise, and what I mean by exercise is, I don't mean physical exercise, but doing what is right or what you think is right, because everyone's version of right is different, right?
Definitely.
And therefore, exercising that more would then start to become second nature in yourself.
Of course.
And like any other muscle, it'll develop.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the key is.
Yeah, that muscle memory, isn't it? Almost.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because again, things that if you've been driving for about 20 years, then you start driving, you wouldn't even think about it consciously, would you? It's only when you are put in a different situation to your day-to-day life, that's when you've got to start thinking. That's when you're actually thinking consciously as opposed to subconsciously or muscle memory, as we call it. And therefore, going on autopilot, pretty much, it's easy. And when the other part, now whether that's spirituality or whatever that is that you're developing, when that starts to develop, that will become your muscle memory.
Yeah.
That starts going into autopilot. And that's almost the transition, isn't it? Going from this side to this side.
And that I personally, I think that's one of the hardest things you can ever accomplish, right? Because there's, and the reason why I say that is we've been conditioned to be on our phones and just it's just a habit of nature, right?
Yes.
Building that into yourself takes time, commitment, and I think that's one of the hardest things we as human beings have to deal with. But I guess it comes with things like similar to work. You've got to have that discipline, like we come back to. You've got to have that discipline in your work life to be able to make sure you do things well. So it goes hand in hand, doesn't it? I think.
It does.
But the thing is, I personally think that we're not born with a phone in our hands.
Yeah,
no.
True.
Or not, we're not born of going to work or having all these conditions that we have. But we're born with willpower. Because I work in a nursery, and right now I'm with babies, so small babies, and they have such a will to be able to walk. They have such a will to be able to, go ahead and to discover life. And the more that we grow, the more that this discovery, this will goes away, fades away with other kinds of habits. Yeah. Because the thing is, before having a habit, before having our phone as a second nature, I'm the first one to have that second nature. I have to be honest. But the thing is, before having that, it became a habit. So before that, anything has come into our life, first it was a habit, and after it became our nature. And this is where again willpower comes in, because the more that you'll be able to study yourself, and the more that you're able to look what you're doing, you can see if it's a good habit or a bad habit, or less a good habit. Nothing is good and bad, but some things will help you and some things will not make you progress as you wish. So this is something that I wanted to add.
Okay, yeah, good, definitely. I think one of the questions I wanted to come on to was okay, we've talked about the willpower and how it's there. Can you guys, let's start with Vinay. Can you give me an example where you've been able to maybe manage or deal with your willpower in your daily life, for example? Like, how do you manage it? How do you, say, for example, like we said, you're in a negative state for a day. How do you almost turn that around and bring that up?
For me, I think it's a very broad question. I think everyone has their own way of doing this. But for me is slowing life down again, slowing myself down again, taking a moment, taking a step back, and looking at the bigger picture again,
Yeah.
almost, that, okay, I'm so focused in trying to resolve this issue at work, and it's really starting to get to me. I'm starting to get into the negative state. And first thing is almost recognizing that yourself, because again, on autopilot, you'll carry on,
Yeah, of course.
right? And it's really just recognizing the first signs that come in, and really starting to think that, okay, I think I'm not feeling right, or my mind's not here. And usually when willpower is going down, when your energy is going down, your mental state starts going down, and you start making poor decisions.
Sure.
You're starting to become angry. You're starting to have all these other emotional states that you're in, and which, by the way, the more you do of, again, that'll build up.
Yeah.
And that becomes the normal self. So, sometimes you may hear someone say, this person's always angry, or this person's always happy.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
And it's really conditioning of the mind to then show that, okay, no, recognize that.
Yeah.
And start to change that.
Yeah.
And the way I deal with it personally is just to take a step back, take a deep breath, leave the chair if I need to, and look at the bigger picture. What am I trying to achieve here? What are my goals again? Or what am I grateful for in my life?
Yeah.
And bring the focus back in that way.
Yeah. I think coming on to that, and what you said there, I thought was quite interesting, was where we say someone's always happy, someone's always angry.
Yeah.
Is there a way in which we can mask that in the sense of when someone is always happy? I think, personally speaking, even if I'm in a personal mental state of maybe negativity, I know I'm able to put a bit of a mask on if I'm, say, out in public, for example, and be that happy person. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, do you reckon, Cascade, to be able to do that?
Well, the thing is, first of all, I would say that, being angry, sometimes it's okay. There's no problem of being angry, Being happy is okay. There's no problem of being happy. But where the issue is that emotion taking over.
Yeah.
Because if we're too happy, we won't be able to concentrate in any factors that we have to do in our life. If we're too angry, we're not able neither to be able to focus on any factors that we have in our life. And, I didn't answer your question that much, but that's okay. I'll just come back, again to the, the question that you asked to Vinay, because the first moment that me personally, willpower comes into my life is when I wake up in the morning.
Okay.
Because, when I wake up in the morning, I have two decisions, in front of me. I have to get up because I have to go to work.
Yeah.
Or I'll play sick today, or, you know what I mean? We all did it already once or twice, to be honest, But this is where the challenge comes. This is where, how can I say, the war that you have towards yourself comes to be or not this better version of yourself. And it just depends of which kind of person you want to become.
Yeah.
Because nobody is forcing you to be a good or to be a bad person. But it's just depending on you and how you feel the moment that you will look at yourself in front of the mirror.
Yeah. Okay.
So yes.
Very good. I mean, we've talked about how your willpower, you deal with it in daily life. But is there any tools or tips you think you can share that support you and boost you in terms of your willpower on a day-to-day?
I would definitely say meditation.
Okay.
Because I practice metaphysical meditation since I'm not a child but a teenager.
Okay.
And this meditation helped me in so many different parts of my life. Because, we all have challenges in our life. I could break my foot today and I would be okay. But if a football player breaks his foot, it's the end of his life.
Yeah.
It could be the end of his career,
Yeah.
And by having, these tools, these mental tools, to be able to, concentrate the mind and to be able to direct the mind where it's supposed to be, you're able to, progress in such a beautiful way. So I would really, this is my experience that I'm sharing with you today, really, is that the thing that helped me the most in my life is meditation. This metaphysical meditation that makes me, experience the true essence of who we really are. Yeah. Because, of course, you're Kavi, you're Vinay, both of you are like men, I'm a woman, we all have different kind of ages, hobbies and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we have one common thing inside of us, and that's our breath. So the moment that we're able to, experience this essence inside of us with a proper spiritual teacher and with the proper techniques, metaphysical techniques, we're able, to be happy and to be able to live this life with so much love and peacefulness inside of us. And of course, challenges will be there. Hard will still, life could still be hard, but we'll be able to overcome it, and we'll be okay, and we'll be able to understand the essence of life.
Okay. So you say meditation has supported you in that
Metaphysical meditation.
Metaphysical meditation has supported you in that sort of
Definitely.
understanding and
Definitely.
developing that willpower.
Even the progress of life. Because again, I'll come back to babies because I work in a nursery, but how they progress in such a fast way. And once that we're adults, we forget to progress. We're like, oh, I'm 25, I'll be 26 next year. But in that year, so many things many things can happen, and we also evolve as human beings.
Definitely.
And as by being spiritual beings too, because a lot of people think that we're human beings having a spiritual experience, but in reality we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. So we have to and with willpower we're able to go back to our true core. We're able to understand who we are and why we're here.
And
Yes.
Sorry, Vinay.
No, I was just going to expand on that, I think, a little bit more, because that really reminded me of something I've heard a wise man say, that do you remember who you are before the world told you who you need to be? Right? And going back to that core, going back to yourself, the true self, before your mom and dad shaped you, the world shaped you, your friends shaped you as you grow older, and therefore it's okay, you've got all these layers that have come on you, and relating it back to almost spirituality, but also what I've learned from, let's say, Reiki or NLP or the other various things that I do, is they're all starting to come to the same point, that the moment you start peeling those layers off, the moment you have, because everyone has different pictures in their mind of everything, of the worldview.
Yeah.
The moment you start bringing those down is the moment you start getting in touch with your true self again. And whether that's through meditation, like Cascade says, which, by the way, coincidentally also has helped me tremendously, to bring my willpower up, to bring my emotions, and to really not, emotions are not something that you've got to consciously sort of control, but you've got to get to a state where emotions are going to be there. That's a part of you. That's not you, right? Same way that today I'll wear this shirt and this jumper, and tomorrow I'll wear something else. Emotions will come and go, right? But what will stay with you? And it's really starting to go into that, because once you know who you are as a person, before the world told you everything, that's when you start to realize that, hang on a minute, am I true to myself first?
Okay.
And that is your journey, essentially, for myself anyway, was the journey to kickstart my willpower, to boost my willpower, and help a few people along that I have already, in terms of, because of the NLP practice, that, you see the problems of the world these days, and then you've got to start to think, and you start reflecting on this.
So your NLP, could you expand on that?
Yes, NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So lots of people have heard of, let's say, hypnotherapy. It's again a complementary form of therapy, and deals with people's life challenges and really helping people move forward from some of the challenges.
So again, that's something that would be supporting you in that sort of willpower journey, right?
Absolutely.
The understanding.
Yeah, I think the world gives you the tools, but once you know yourself truly within, the tools start to work for themselves.
Okay, great. And you both spoke there about meditation and how it supported you throughout. So from your perspectives, you've learnt these techniques via Manav Dharam. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Definitely,
absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
The thing is, if tomorrow I want to learn French, I'll go to a French teacher.
Correct.
Yes.
If tomorrow I'll go to, if tomorrow I want to learn mathematics, I'll go to a math teacher.
Sure.
But and if we want to learn spirituality, we have to go to a spiritual teacher. And again, if I go to a French teacher and that person doesn't teach me proper French, how can he be a French teacher?
Exactly.
And a spiritual teacher must give us a spiritual experience. Because if we don't have a spiritual experience in being in the company and practicing what he has taught us, how can he be named a spiritual teacher?
Correct.
And my spiritual master is Sri Satpalji Maharaj. He is somebody in a physical way who helped me a lot. But in a spiritual way, he has guided me to be able to understand the essence of who I am inside of me.
Okay. And would you guys both say it's an easy journey? That spiritual meditative journey, would you say it's easy, or do you think it's quite a difficult thing to do?
I personally think it has been a fairly good journey.
Okay.
Like with everything, once you learn something and you've got to then practice it, you've got to discipline yourself to then learn the essence of the true nature of what has been taught to you. And therefore, once you practice, once you discipline yourself enough to put those things into practice, then yes, it has progressed, and you can see yourself changing.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is when you think, okay, I don't think the way I did a year ago or 2 years ago, and you start to realize the change within yourself. That's when I think you really feel, okay, actually, I am now getting to my true essence through meditation.
Okay. The reason why I asked that question is because my next question, which is there's a famous quote: "If at first you don't succeed, try and try again." Do we think that's the right method? Because is there a time when you should give up, or do you think it's always continue to try? The reason why I'm asking that is obviously in meditation, and personally I've felt this, is you have to continue and continue, otherwise it's just you can't get anywhere with it. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, Cascade, maybe.
Definitely, we have to continue to try again and again. Like, if we can see football players, or not even football players, let's speak about us, how we are. We're taking so big examples and everything. No, like before that, we're able to run. There's such a big process that every human being has gone through, but we forgot it because we don't remember that state of mind that we had. And in spirituality, it's exactly the same. Because, when we start and when we get initiated in spiritual knowledge, we start just like a newborn baby. We have this spiritual birth that our spiritual master gives us. So before being able to run or even choose to walk, we have to go through all that process of trying to stand up, sit down again, walk slowly, doing baby steps, how we say so nicely in English. And so, yes, of course, there's no shame of standing up and falling down. There's no shame of, trying to do something in our day-to-day life and one day doing a bit less. There's no shame about that. But there's not shame, but there's a hardness of letting it go and not doing it anymore. That's what wouldn't be good to my point of view.
Would you agree with that, Vinay?
Absolutely, 100%. Cascade, you work with babies, and you see that in your day-to-day life, and how much of a sponge almost their minds and intellectually they are, and we forget that. We, as we grow older, become so rigid in our ways, habits, and our forms, and if we are afraid of falling, we'll never walk, we'll never stand up, right? And therefore it's increasing that, or gradually taking yourself up every day and saying, okay, what can I do better today? How can I do it better? Can I have 5 more minutes of meditation today? Can I have 5 more minutes of focus time? Just, all these things, they play a big part. And giving up, in my opinion, is one of the easiest things to do. And everyone's different, but if you keep trying, I'm sure, it'll work.
Okay, yeah.
It'll help.
I think it's like anything. I think I use this example way too much, but the gym.
Yes.
You go to the gym
Yes.
for 2 months, 3 months on the trot.
Yes.
Goes really well, and then suddenly 1 week you get ill.
Yes.
And that ruins that whole 3 months' work, because then it's so hard to get back into that.
Yes.
But picking yourself up, going again, is the one and true thing that's going to continue to help you to develop, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think the more you do it, the more... If we just take for a second, if we just delve into spirituality a little bit more, for example, and we see what that is doing to yourself. So first of all, your mind's calming down.
Yeah.
Your day-to-day hustle and bustle, your day-to-day stresses are all. Everyone has got stresses on the day-to-day basis, and what you're doing is saying, okay, I know this is there, but I'm going to put that to one side. Yeah. I'm going to turn my analyzer down, because we're using our mind a lot day to day, and therefore turning that analyzer down of the mind and taking a breath, and like Cascade says, the breath, which is so important that we take for granted a lot, plays such a vital role in meditation and into our day-to-day lives.
Mm-hmm.
And what that would start doing physically into your body is immense, right? Right down to the heart, right down to your mind, your cells, your structure, your DNA, your genes. There is a difference in all of that it'll actually start to elevate and bring you back to the true self.
Okay. Switching slightly back to willpower here. So, Cascade, can you succeed or reach your goals without willpower?
No.
No?
No.
Why is that? Why do you think that?
No, definitely not. Because, first of all, just as I just said before, the moment that I wake up in the morning, what's the most important is if I have willpower or not.
Yep.
Because I can imagine so many things that I want to do tomorrow. I want to go to the gym. I want to learn how to fly. I want to read books or God knows what, you know. But if I don't even have the will to get up from my bed and to put my alarm off or on, you know, at that moment, how can my day even start? No, because when we look, you know, in my personal case, I received everything in my life. You know, I'm healthy. Everything is good. You know, my day-to-day life is without struggles, like without big struggles. But one thing that I did not receive is willpower. Mm-hmm. Willpower, me, myself, I have to explore it and make it, you know, something active in my day-to-day life.
Okay. And Vinay, so just building on that, like Cascade said, that first question is, do I get up here? Do I not? From when the alarm goes off?
Yes.
How we live potentially, what's the average age? 80 or something along those lines, right? So how do you do that up until 80, do you think? I'm not saying that you're 80 years old. But
I look good for my age,
right? Because I personally think, obviously, as you get slightly older and your sort of your goals change, or where you are, you
your
retire,
priorities change,
your brain change, everything changes, right? So how do you actually continue with that willpower to continue and get up every day and do the right things?
Personally, I think there's been instances where I've definitely not wanted to get up, you know, after a hard week of work. And the way sometimes I get up myself is do a countdown of launching myself, you know, 5, 4, 3, almost like a space shuttle taking off. And when I get to 1, I get up, right? And it's having those little tools that help me personally get up, you know, and essentially life will always change. Your priorities will change, you know, your day-to-day workings will change. But when you're coming back to yourself and your true essence, like we spoke before, it's why are you waking up every day? What's taking you to wake up? You know, if there isn't anything, then why wake up? Lots of people, you know, 200,000-300,000 people will not wake up tomorrow. They'll not have that opportunity tomorrow. So if you've got that opportunity and you've got the breath to wake up and your eyes open, time's ticking away for everyone. Yeah. Why don't make the most of it?
Yeah. Okay, great. Very good. I guess alongside willpower, what other attributes do you think personally maybe support your willpower?
I would say positive thinking, good habits, and once again, love.
Okay, so on that love point, if you are not receiving that love from around you, do you think you're still able to portray that love? Because if you're not seeing it from others, how do you know what love is in that sense, and how can you actually...
The thing is, love is once again an experience. Yeah. And of course, I can love my boyfriend, I can love my husband, you know, I can love my parents, I can love my colleagues, I can love, you know, everything. But if I do not love the source of love first, how can I love them properly? And loving the source of love is within. And we don't need any example to be able to love that source. We don't need any conditioning. We don't need any, you know, forcing to be able to love that source. And this is how children can be so happy, because before loving anybody, they love themselves and they love that source inside of them.
So that new I don't know, Birkin bag or whatever is not gonna give you that love, is it?
It will give you happiness
Sure.
for a short time, but it won't satisfy the mind.
Okay.
Because I'll just give you a small example of how the mind works. Because, gigantic neurologists, gigantic psychologists, they try to understand the mind.
Mhm.
But the mind is metaphysical. And the thing is, I can buy that new bag. I'll be happy with it for maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 months. But then after, when the new model is coming out, I want the new model. It's the same with a car. It's the same with a new house. I'll be satisfied with it, but just for a short term. And how every organ that we have in our body has a certain kind of responsibility.
Yep.
The responsibility of the mind is to find happiness, is to experience happiness within. And this is where, once again, willpower comes in. Because, the willpower will give us actually, the motivation, the discipline, and the faith and love to be able to go against all the bad habits and all the wrong conditioning that we have received in our mind.
Yeah. Okay.
And without, the secret knowledge, as the book is just behind you,
me? Okay.
without that secret metaphysical knowledge that we have inside of us, it's a very hard journey.
Yes.
With that knowledge, it becomes a very easy and beautiful journey that inspires us and inspires others to be just the change that we want to see in the
Yep,
world and to
definitely.
be the best version of ourselves.
Absolutely.
I was going to give you the option to say
Sorry.
something, but as Cascade said there, where the sort of the materialism side, I wanted to just sort of delve slightly into that. So, if your willpower is just there for that materialistic side, is that a good or a bad thing, do you think? So your willpower is there just to make money, do really well, and do that. Is that a bad thing?
I think depending on everyone's thoughts and everyone's goals are different in life, and if that is your goal, then go ahead and achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's lots of people out there who, whose goal is just to wake up in the morning, or there's lots of people's goal who's totally focused on, let's say, making money,
Mhm.
for example.
Mhm.
Money's not a bad thing. How you use it is a different question,
Yeah.
right?
Agreed.
So therefore, I think going back to the love that Cascade explained, that is vitally important, I think, personally, as well.
Alongside the willpower.
Alongside the willpower, because willpower, focus, discipline, all that comes from love.
Mhm.
Your root self within yourself is love, first and foremost. Like Cascade again said, I've got 2 boys, they fight sometimes, and within 5-10 minutes, or not even that, they'll be playing so happily again.
Yeah.
How come we've forgotten that
Yeah.
as adults?
Yeah.
If I say something rude to you, 10 years down the line, you'll still
pull it out
remember
again.
it. Because no matter 20 things that I've said to you before, which are really great or really uplifting to you, what you've done is associated one emotion
Yeah.
with that, created a connection in your brain, and that sticks longer.
Yeah.
But if you go back to the root cause of, or the root of love, then that's where we've actually come from, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
definitely.
And that's the way to progress, like Cascade says.
So we've touched on that materialistic side, and I guess how do you suppress temptation using via willpower? So, for example, I've got a great sweet tooth.
Yes.
How do you suppress that? That's one of the biggest things I struggle with. How would you guys? I don't know, Cascade. How do you?
Well, once again, I think it depends the habit that you have,
Yeah.
because you're not born with a sweet tooth.
Yeah, true.
You're not
True.
born. You'll maybe die with it. I don't wish that for you, but still. But again, every habit it's the balance. What's the most important?
Mhm.
Eat a chocolate a day is okay. Eat an apple a day too will keep the doctor away, definitely. But just having the balance, it's the most important. And knowing what is good for yourself. And knowing because everybody knows when you do an action, everybody will feel it inside of them if it's something good for them or not. And your willpower, your inner, consciousness will come and guide you, and you have to listen to it. Because all day long we listen to things outside, but let's take a moment to be able to listen within.
Yeah.
And this is where, guidance, spiritual guidance is so important, because without the spiritual guidance, life will be okay, but with it will be beautiful.
Okay. And so have Manav Dharam's teachings supported your willpower and to almost improve it and get it to a better level?
I think without Manav Dharam, without my Guruji, Sri Satpalji Maharaj, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Okay.
I totally believe that, totally feel that. He, the teachings that I've had ignited a spark within me.
Yeah.
Going from just the materialistic world, which I was living day-to-day life, to actually then unlocking myself to other things. That's how I've been able to do a lot of the things that I do on my day-to-day basis. It's opening that side of me that I didn't know existed
Beforehand,
and I think that spark, once that was ignited within me, I was able to practice it. I was able to start to see benefits, because again, the materialistic world comes so much powerful within yourself that if I don't see a result within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I'm out, or 5 days or whatever that threshold is for yourself. And it's just saying, okay, no, I'm not going to microwave that food. I'm actually going to cook it fresh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to actually take the time out. I'm actually going to understand for once in my life what someone's teaching me.
Yeah.
As opposed to just going into a class when I was in school and just saying, yeah, I understand that, and thinking, what are they talking about?
So that's actually just learning it for the sake of learning, rather than learning and understanding and taking it within you, right? That's
absolutely, because that's opened a whole new chapter, a whole new gateway in my life that again I say didn't exist, and I was able to expand. I was able to bring so many good things in my life, and I was able to really grow as a person.
And that's exactly what you want, right? Growing as a person.
Absolutely.
The point of Manav Dharam is man know thyself. So growing that person. I don't know, Cascade, if you want to share your thoughts on, is that same for you or is anything slightly different?
Well, as you just said, man know thyself. It's 3 words, but it's a very long journey. It's a very long journey. And definitely spirituality has, guided me and is guiding me today and will guide me tomorrow to be the best version of myself and to be able to help one another and to help myself. And without spirituality, God knows where I would be sitting today. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be here, that's for sure. But the teachings of Manav Dharam is universal religion, is universal brotherhood, and there's no condition. Anybody can come and listen to spiritual discourses. Anybody can come and receive this knowledge.
Yes.
The only condition is to be a human being.
Yes.
And I think we all are human beings, so that's okay. And even if you have a cat or a dog, take him with, it will be okay. And this is the beauty of spirituality, because the core of every human being is the same.
Yes.
And to be able to progress in spirituality, what do we need? Willpower.
Willpower is the main thing. But like you said there, it's like we call Manav Dharam is like the religion of humanity. We call it, right? So I think that is the key to this, and Manav Dharam has been one of the big sports.
Yeah, absolutely. No. I think you've touched a key point there. I think a lot of the times there's a big dogma against religion.
Yep.
Some people think, and what we're trying to say, or what I guess I'm trying to sort of think is, religion is one thing, spirituality is another.
Yep.
Know the difference.
Yeah.
And that's where you've got to really expand yourself.
So thank you both again for joining us here today on the subject of willpower. It's been great to have you, listen to your thoughts. We're looking forward to having you back again soon. So please do make the flight back over Cascade, and Vinay, maybe fly yourself using your plane qualifications
maybe
down
one
to
day.
London.
Thank you.
It's been great to have you here, and thank you for sharing all your thoughts. It's great to hear from the 2 guests we had today, Vinay and Cascade. Thank you for coming along. And what we heard from them was around how love, discipline, and willpower are 3 key areas to really develop yourself internally. Being the change you want to see in this world is very key, and clearly they're showcasing that in their day-to-day lives. And how metaphysical meditation has been a huge supporting factor in their lives and has strengthened their thoughts around willpower. One of the key areas that Vinay definitely mentioned was around muscle memory, and how developing that willpower muscle memory is going to be a huge factor for them, and how Manav Dharam has ignited their ability to develop and build their willpower. So thank you again for listening in on the Modern Day Spirituality Podcast. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Join us next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time, 12:30 p.m. British Summer Time, and 7:30 a.m. US Eastern Time for the next episode of the Modern Day Spirituality Podcast. And if you like the podcast, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share. See you next Wednesday.